What's up, Rockstars? Got another news video for you today. We have some record-breaking Kickstarters. We have some surprising, not like flops, but definitely underperformers. We have some drama news. There's some companies that are laying off tons of employees. We're talking through all of that right now. Now, this video is going to be kind of interesting because I'm not covering a whole lot of stuff, really just the big new things that are coming out, and they're like all big, so it's actually kind of interesting there, but I think some were planning to be bigger, and some are the biggest they've ever been. So we're going to discuss all of that, starting with Antrespass Odyssey, second printing, plus all new content, long name, but it fits Antrespass Odyssey, I think, very well. I just did a review of this, so if you're interested in that, that's linked down in the description below, along with everything else I'm covering in the video today, plus tons of stuff I'm not covering in the video today. I have like 80 plus links there or something like that. It's ridiculous. So feel free to check that out anytime that's convenient for you for that. But just did the review for that. You can probably check it on the page as well. But this is definitely massive. 2.2 million raised, 5,361 backers, still 20 days to go, and they haven't even revealed all of the content. Now, that doesn't mean you couldn't buy it. We'll talk about that as well, but I guess let's discuss perhaps why this made more than Kingdoms Forlorn. Why it made more than the original Antrespass Odyssey, right? So let's go back, original Antrespass Odyssey, right? This company has delivered some resin miniatures and is now like, and here's this big game. It's kind of like Kingdom Death Monster, but like in ancient Greek, and does all this other like stuff that's unique and different. And people are like, that's super cool, and they backed it. It was a huge success. However, they were relatively unknown. Definitely, a lot of them felt like they were copying Kingdom Death Monster and all that, which, by the way, that resentment's been gone since the boss battler genre has exploded. I'm very glad to see that. I would hate to be like, every time I see a difficult third-person action game, it's like, it's like Dark Souls. It's like, well, I mean, you know, it could be like that, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Anyway, with this, so that's kind of the first one. And then they launched Kingdoms Forlorn, but they hadn't delivered Antrespass Odyssey yet. And I feel that really hurt Kingdoms Forlorn. Kingdoms Forlorn still did quite well. I'm sure the pledge manager for that and for ATO afterwards was very, very good. But this is the perfect timing because this was delivery hype. If you didn't know, it's a real thing for sure. Cult of the New, all that kind of stuff. It's part of the experience of buying crowdfunded games is getting the big box and seeing all the stuff and sleeving all the cards and like all of that kind of stuff is part of the experience you're buying into. And when you get that and you're so excited for this new game, and then a company says, hey, so we just delivered this, you're liking it, we love that you like it, how would you like some more? That is such an easy win for a company. And it's a match well for the person as well, because they know they now like the game, they know the company delivers, and so then they're happy for it. So this is perfect timing on their part to launch it here. Most of the people have their first 3 cycles. There are 5 total for Antrespass Odyssey, the original one, and people are very, very happy with it. There are some people that don't like it, and as we get farther into it, I know a lot of us aren't all the way through it yet. We'll see how it all pans out, but suffice it to say, right now, perfect timing. You've seen they've delivered, you know it's a big game, you like what you've seen so far, they're offering more. So that's smart. I think that's smart. Now, they actually also went really front heavy, or they front loaded the campaign, which means most of the funding is going to be right up front, even within the last 48 hours, I believe. And that's because they had some incentives, which you can get right now. So we're going to scroll down here real quick, and you're going to see these Fates pledges. These are limited quantity available. I think right now there is still one available, right here. There are 26 left for that. Again, link down in the description below, along with everything else I'm covering, plus way more. Like there's a ton of links down there, like 80 plus links. So feel free to check all that out. There's a ton of games coming up, already out, all that stuff. But either way, this saves you some money on the whole season of like all 4 seasons, right? Right now they've only done summer. At the time of posting this, they should be very close to showing winter. We'll look at that in a moment because they do have a little preview for it. And then they'll also have spring and autumn, I think is what they're calling it. I know I always say fall. I don't like the word autumn. It's kind of weird. Anyway, so they definitely front loaded it, right? It's like, hey, back all the stuff now. You get to save it. Honestly, though, it's Kickstarter. I don't get charged until 20 days from now. So it costs you nothing to click on that, nab yourself the spot, and then decide later on. And some people will keep dropping out of this. So if it's all full, just keep on the lookout for it. I mean, you may as well, you can change your pledge. So you may as well pledge for whatever else, just in case, if you're interested. But if you're wanting to nab one of these and it's out, just wait, especially the last 48 hours. People are going to be dropping and grabbing and dropping and grabbing. The moment somebody drops one, it becomes available again. You can grab it again. It's not like a timed thing. It's a quantity thing. Honestly, I appreciate that a lot more. It allows you to control costs a lot more as a company. And it allows it to where you can come in late and still luck out, which is pretty cool. Or trade somebody for the spot, or, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, that's pretty cool. We're going to scroll real quick. There's a lot here. That's for sure. 9.3 on Board Game Geek. We'll see how that pans out over time. It did just deliver, but right now it is up there. It is high. So that's super big. It says what to pledge. They talk about different things here. The new entry point, by the way, is $130 for the Herakles pledge. You get the summer thing. That's still like 150 hours or 100 hours, something like that. It's a lot. It's 150 plus hours of gameplay. Ton of game right there. You can get that and be happy with it and move on with your life. You don't need everything. Don't give into the FOMO if you don't want to. Okay, so they have the Odysseus. This is what they just delivered for 300. Normally for 400. If you want a comparison, Kingdom's Monster right now sells for 420. So that's where kind of that is right now on that. You have then, of course, everything new. So you have the 4 and 5, of course, that's coming out, and then you have the new thing out. You can get that for $647. And then if you want just the Fates, that's the one we were kind of talking about right now. $489 gives you all 4. That's going to be a ton of stuff. It's going to be crazy. A huge amount of stuff. Add-ons. This is the important part. This was, I think, a first 48. We got this for free, so I don't know if this is still available for you guys for free. However, you can still buy it as well. And these come with miniatures, some new gear cards, story content, and then a various amount of other stuff here. Then they have a kind of a updated Sky Seer Titan. We got this in the first one, so you will just get the new updated stuff. I think it's new cards or whatever for free. Either way, as long as you're getting something, they'll put it in the shipment for you, I think. Fateseeker Titan, that's a new one, $19. You have the Onward Odyssey mini campaigns. Mini campaigns are something I think that sound great. I would love campaigns that are a little bit smaller and more piecemealed out. That's $29. This is probably actually the most discussed expansion among my patrons and with me, and for good reason. There's a lot with the game. And one of my negatives was the fact that it could use some better storage. Well, they're selling the solution to the problem. $59, expensive. Gives you a lot of stuff. It looks like it's just a binder. There's obviously, sleeves for cards and stuff like that. But you can see here there are some side things as well to help out. There's a little bit of more stuff like that. They also talk about like component dividers, which certainly help. So that's definitely nice. So there's a lot here, definitely. The card dividers, I think, are big for me. I think they might even have like tuck boxes, stuff like that. So they got a lot going on there. But it is $59 for, just some storage there. And then you have the 4 and 5 if you only got the 1, 2, and 3 before. Whole bunch of luxury tiles. We can skip by that. More dice if you want them. These, I believe, are the exact same style dice, so there's nothing different between there, except I think, I don't know, maybe there's a little bit different, but if so, the picture doesn't really show it well. Game mats, don't need that. Godform boxes, probably important. It is a bit expensive to get 14 of them. They are quite nice. They're PVC ABS mix, which is nice. $50. However, it's such a big moment in the game that you wanted that to be as impactful as possible. Something I think I would recommend is that. And then they go into this. You'll see here, they have autumn. They're revealing winter. We're getting Shelob, so there's that. Or Ongoliath, maybe. Who knows? Some kind of big spider thing going on here. That'll be revealed here very shortly. Again, link down in the description below. Then they have spring, and then I think autumn some other time down. They haven't even shown it yet. Stretch goals, they got a lot. I'm not going to go over them all right now. They're just adding a ton of different stuff. As you can see, one of the big things here, not the Sins app, is right here. Full voice narration for the core game of Antros Space Odyssey. That is huge. That'd be super awesome. I'd love to see that. I think that's great. Okay, more stuff here. You get like different boss battles and all sorts of different unlocks and all that. And then it goes into just the game itself. So that's kind of where they're at right now. I know some people were kind of upset about front loading it on here. I think I prefer this so much more over what most companies do. Because it takes a lot of gall to do. Because there's such thing as sticker shock, right? Where you're just shocked at how much it is. Oh my gosh, 485 USD. That is a ton of money. But then you think like, oh, that's actually like I've had come on games that cost more than that for the all-in. Like if you want everything, but it doesn't seem that because they start at 120 and then they add an expansion. Oh, there's another 60, and they add another expansion. There's another 50, and another smaller one. There's another 45. These 2 packs are $12 each. You're gonna grab both of those. Here's some dice packs. Here's another dice pack. So you're now doing 25 in dice pack. And then you do this and you do that. And it ends up being a lot. But they slowly get it to you. And that's how you get any idea across to people. That's how you teach things. It's how you get people to buy more. Because it's not just $500 I'm now spending on Zombicide. It's, oh, well, it's just 45 more here. It's just 10 more here. It's just 50 more here. And then you go to the checkout terminal, like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of money. But you got small wins to build to the big one. So to be upfront about the price and saying, hey, look, here's everything. Here's all these add-ons that we have. If you want to add those, here's our big pledge for all the new stuff. You can go in and grab that. I actually appreciate that. I think that's pretty cool. And when it comes to savings, limiting by the amount is something I think is very understandable. And it again rewards people being very upfront with their money and willing to loan you the company money, which at the end of the day is what we're all doing. So hopefully we all get a good deal on that. But suffice it to say, that's that. I'm going to go and move on from this one. We'll be covering it more, especially on the winter stuff here coming up shortly. All right, next up we have Dead Cells. This one's doing quite well, I feel, especially for the price it's at. 412,000, 4,500 backers, still 2 weeks to go. This one, again, this is like their first created Kickstarter, which is really, really cool. And they are doing, I think, a stellar job with the IP, all things considered. So core box 67, that's a great, I think, entry price for it, around that $50, less than 75. That's nice. That's pretty slick. And then if you want the all premium, kind of Kickstarter more version, the collector's pledge, 86. Still think that's actually pretty good, especially for the IP and stuff like that. It is different than the video game. Some people aren't going to like that. I personally love the video game. It's a very fun one to play. The runs are really fast. Meta progression's really good. Definitely a fan of it, for sure. So how does that apply to a board game? Well, you might wonder, it kind of doesn't. So they actually have different headlists now, or beheaded. So you can see there's actually 4 because it's co-op. And it's 1 mini you get in the collector version. It's a standee otherwise, which I think is pretty cool. It's all approved art and everything like that. Obviously, it's not pixel art either. So it's more of a cell shaded kind of thing versus pixel art. So that's pretty cool as well. They talk about how to play it though, and the cards you play and stuff like that. If anybody dies, it's game over. So it's an all win or nothing. You do have these kind of like sleeved boards that I actually I'm starting to appreciate more and more that games are doing that. That's, I think, pretty darn neat. Yeah, overall, pretty darn cool. And this is the standard version. There's that marker that you'd get otherwise. And so if you get the fancy edition, you get a metal first player token. First player tokens are always pointless, but people like them. The miniature, the render looks cool. Will it end up looking that good? I don't know. We will see. Dual layer boards, tuck boxes. I hate tuck boxes, but organization's good. And acrylic tokens. I really appreciate acrylic tokens. Those are going to be nice, I'm sure. Plus exclusive daily reveals. I don't know what those are yet, but we will find out. It looks like we got 2 different ones here, and I'm assuming the exclusive is the Kickstarter exclusive version here. I would guess is what that is, because the normal version only has standard daily reveals. So it's stuff that I'm assuming is going to be available at retail or who knows what. There's an add-on, you can get a fancy statue if you want to do that, and sleeves, and that's it. Like that's it. And they're saying, hey, maybe we'll do expansions later, but right now, this is all we're focused on doing. This is it. I love and appreciate that limited scope. Super cool. So I am backing that one as well. Apex Legends. This one was going to be big, but it ended up not exploding nearly as much as I think most of us assumed. It just reached 300, so that's nice to see, but it definitely didn't blow up. I think I know why as well, because Glass Cannon Unplugged did a very good job with their Frostpunk thing. People were very happy with it from what I can tell, and they definitely have a good outreach with the community when it comes to content creators, when it comes to comments, when it comes to a presence online, and just they were at Gen Con, right? So they go to the different events. Like, they're definitely integrating themselves and are like for the community. So I think that's great. That's super awesome. And as a skirmish game lover, whether it's Infinity, whether it's Warhammer, all that kind of stuff, or the board game versions like Hate, Mythic Battles Pantheon, all that stuff, love it. I think it's great. This looks super cool. It reminds me of Code 1 for Infinity, and I really dig that. I love the terrain. I love the different map. Like any miniature game that has a lot of terrain, I tend to be a fan of. There are a few contention points. One of them is this right here. The fact that your player board is this diorama. It is beautiful. It's a really cool idea. I think it should be an add-on. In other words, this is in the core box. This is what everybody's getting. I know that makes it easier and more viable because it means everybody's getting it, but it does indeed raise the price of shipping, of storage, of all that kind of stuff versus just a tray. This is definitely a deluxe collector's edition version as opposed to something that is actually as cheap as it could be. So I think that's part of it, right? Because they're asking for $87, which isn't too bad that's really cool for $87. Like, just a diorama with a character on it, if it was like a non-board game piece, would probably be about $87 or more. So definitely, I understand the price. But one of the issues here, besides the fact that it's competitive and those don't always sell too well, is I feel like if they were able to remove this and add more characters, it'd be more helpful. So the core box has her, and then it has this, and this. So 5 total, which in a skirmish game is not good. If you've even played like fighting games online, like Street Fighter, stuff like that, so, Super Smash Bros, all that kind of stuff, right? You're used to like 30 plus options. Like, you need that variety to have long lasting impact. And so to have 4 or 5 characters in the box it just won't last. It's not enough. You could not play that a whole lot. At least most people couldn't. You'll get bored of the same person against the same person over and over and over and over and over again. So I think that's partially it. Is just that. If this had a better core box, where it was more game content, less fluff, I think that would be really helpful. And then by all means, sell a deluxe one. It'll be priced more because the pricing difference is now it's an add-on versus everybody getting it. So the quantity is very different. However, that means only the people wanting that premium are getting that, as opposed to kind of like limiting. Again, if it allowed you to make even 2 more characters in there, I think that would be better, even at the same price. My opinion on that. They do have more. As you can see, they do have some more people there. Not a whole lot, but a fair amount. Like this is a decent amount. If this was the core, if this was like a Street Fighter, like the miniatures game from Jasco, where, with all the Kickstarter unlocks and stuff like that, with a ton of characters, like that is good. Or again, like Mythic Battles or Hate or all this stuff. They have all these options you can pick. So the full team pledge is $125, so about a normal price for a Kickstarter these days. Not bad, honestly. It could be better, of course, but it's not bad. It's not bad. And then they have the all-in gameplay at $255, and that's where you get most of the characters, right? This is probably the one I think most people would want, but now we're getting kind of pricey. And then the solo is actually a bit more, so if you ever do want to play it solo or fully co-op, that is a paid expansion you have to pay for. But again, I think this, as cool as it is, as much as I appreciate it and love it and would love that version of the game, I think that ended up hurting them, especially if it was at the cost of having more characters. I'm not just talking about more characters as in like scope increase. Like, now you have to offer more characters. I mean, more characters in the core box. That would have been kind of nice. And honestly, I feel like they probably have been more profitable for them too. I think it's one of those things where they're hoping to really kind of pump that up and hoping it'll help the revenue, but I'm not sure that it really helps the profit too much. But anyway, like, it looks like a cool game. I think it looks awesome. But I think that's kind of why it didn't explode in the way that it could have. And again, it's one of those things where even if they get the video game guys in and they're like, oh, hey, they make these cool board games for my favorite IP, they're going to get sticker shocked with a super premium product that now costs a whole lot. It just is what it is. All right, one more campaign here. This is Ultracryl. Look, I don't know how to say your name. I like Army Painter. I can say that. Citadel. Privateer, like Vallejo. I can say all these things. Though I think there's some contention around how you pronounce Vallejo. Whatever. This looks super cool though. These look very, very nice. As far as I can tell, these are a bunch of like super big German nerdy dudes that are like these scientists and know all this different chemical compound junk and all this stuff to make really good high pigment paints. They look really, really nice. My issue, and I always have with this, is replacements. And honestly, it's why I haven't backed it. I'm probably going to make a video about that here soon, but suffice it to say, if I just want to get more of a color and I'm in the middle of painting, I want to be able to drive to the store real quick and grab some and be done with it in 10 minutes, not have to go get it shipped and then wait and I guess paint something else for a while or whatever. My personal preference there. And often it gets a little bit pricier, especially if you're doing shipping and stuff like that. And I want to be able to just grab one single paint. It's like, I don't need 18 pinks or 3 copies of each pink. I'll need 1 pink, but I need a whole lot of brown or a whole lot of gray or whatever it is, right? Painted an army of Necrons that are purple. I need a whole bunch of purple, you know? So I want to be able to pick the 1 or 2 paints that I want and order higher quantities of them, or just go get them from the store when they're ready. So I tend to stay away from stuff like this on the crowdfunding, and then if they're able to break it in because enough of you aren't like me and can support it enough to actually get it into friendly local gaming stores, all the better. I'm all for it. But that tends to be me, and that's why I don't back these. But they end up pretty good. You got to keep shipping and stuff in mind, but the higher you go, right, the more you're spending, which by the way, look at this, like 1,250. Like, I know it's a retail thing, but this is kind of the point, right? 2 retailers grabbed this. So, it's like, how many people are actually getting this kind of stuff? But the big box, 261, you get 56 base paints plus a whole bunch of others. Super duper cool. But eventually, you run out and then you want more and then you have to go special order them or something like that. But, they end up pretty cheap. I think they end up, under $4 a bottle. I know that much. They use, one cool thing. Instead of ball bearings, they put, I'll show you. It's down here. Where is it? It's down here. So much scrolling. Right here. Look at that. Look at those agitators. Sweet. I dig it. I think that's hilarious. All right. Monster Hunter World by Steamforged Games. That is coming out here, now. So feel free to check on this. In fact, it might be live at the time of the publishing. Well, again, feel free to check. 15,188 followers. That is a ton. It's going to do very well. People are very happy with the Monster Hunter World that delivered it. Again, they have the delivery hype, which certainly helps. And so they've delivered it. They're launching more. Hey, how do you like some more? I think that's super cool. So definitely take a look at that. What you're seeing here color-wise is pretty much everything in the components. It's all blue and white. So it definitely has a look. I guess I'll put it that way. That being said, you would think with how successful that was, how successful Resident Evil was, all this other stuff, that they'd be, doing super well. But turns out they fired a third of their employees. Now, this is... Okay, so... You know how I'm usually fairly consumer-leaning? I'm very much worker-leaning on this. I'm very management, bosses, executives, all that kind of junk, for a big reason. And that's because I've worked at companies that really abuse that, where they're like Fortune 50 companies that are just these massive things, and the bosses, that make all the decisions are fine, but then when they make a bad decision, they fire the people that had no choice. That's how they work. And honestly, to an extent, that's kind of how this is here. So they're talking about, letting people go and across the board from people doing renders to all this other stuff. And as an FYI, I support a lean company. I think that is genius. Do not hire somebody unless you really can pay them full time, like benefits, all that kind of stuff. And you are rock solid, because Exploding as a company is a very dangerous thing. It's what a lot of these Kickstarter companies did. SFG's not just a Kickstarter company. They have a good retail presence. But they're becoming a leaner company. I support lean companies. But the problem is when management, and by the way, like, their statement here, they restructured the business operations, and that was completed. And as a result, some employees sadly had to leave the business by reason of redundancy. SFG will be making no further comment on this confidential, now completed process. First of all, that is so cold-hearted, of office speak jargon of talking about your business operations restructuring, and it takes all of the humanity out of it, which I don't appreciate. Letting go of people. People are people. They are not your resources. They are not your personnel. They are not your employees. They are people, human beings. And I think we should care more about them. So here's kind of my take on this, right? If there's some redundancy and they have too many people, that's their fault, not the person's fault, right? Now, I get it. Okay, that's not their fault, but then what, right? But do you get my issue here? It's like when the people in charge of companies make a mistake, the workers suffer for it. They're the ones that get shafted. They're the ones that get fired, let go. Good luck. Hope you didn't move here for this job. Hope your new baby's okay at home. Did you just buy a house? Well, that sucks because guess what? You're out of a job, or whatever it might be, because I hired too many people. Which is really what it is. I mean, if you don't hire the people that you can't afford, you don't ever have to fire people. That's how that works. If you run a safe, lean operation from the start, you're good. It's when it inflates too big and now you have to trim the fat to get lean. The problem is the fat is people and human lives. I can't stand it. I really, it's a sore spot for me. I do not like seeing companies and the people run it do poorly, and the people let go often had no clue, had no choice. It's not their fault. Just sucks. Now, do I think this means SFG is in trouble? No, actually the opposite. I think it's a very smart thing to do to kind of tighten the belt, right? And all these other terms we do to personify the fact that we're firing people. Trim the fat and remove redundancy and all this other stuff, which sounds great as long as you realize that you're not getting rid of an extra stapler on the desk. You're getting rid of the extra person at the desk that you hired and told them, yeah, well, you have a job, we'll pay you. And now saying, actually, never mind, get out. It just sucks. Hopefully they got some good packages and all that kind of stuff. I know a lot of times in the EU, it's actually kind of costly to fire people. You live in Idaho, it's a right to work state, so they can just be like, yeah, see you, dude, and you're just gone. So I think it's a little bit different over there. So hopefully they'll end up okay. And I hope that everybody affected by this finds a new job at a company that will only hire them if they can actually pay them. Hopefully that's the case. But yeah, I don't think they're necessarily doing bad or anything. I imagine they got inflated. I think a lot of these companies get inflated, and I think this is going to happen over and over and over again. But it is what it is. What's interesting, it says nearly 20, and it says 1/3, which kind of gives you a sense of how many people they had. And honestly, not that much. Like I know several companies that are way bigger than that, that don't have the retail presence that SFG has. But, it's always hard. It reminds me of like when the companies are like, everything's expensive during COVID, and they all recorded record profits. And you're like, oh, we just got to charge more. It costs more. And then record profits across the board. All these companies doing fan-freaking-tastic. It's like, nice. Cool. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Good for the management side of things, I guess. Because, SFG's has been running like normal, right? I mean, they just bought the Ultracryl, so they're busy buying IP and doing all this stuff and spending all this money to get all the IP and, partner with stuff like Capcom and do all this stuff. So they're busy doing well, just with 20 less people now, I guess. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on that. I know I probably talked about that a bit too much. I really hate it. I really hate that that it like it's like, oh, so my job is to run this company, and I made an oopsie and hired a third more people than I should have, and now I can't afford to it. It's like, well, then you need to take a price cut. How about that? Now, guess what? You can afford those people again. You know, it just, I don't know. Anyway, whatever. Guys, I hope you've had a great time. I know I certainly do. It is such a cool, I mean, look at these games, guys. There are so many freaking cool stuff on Kickstarter right now. It's just awesome. There's going to be more. There's going to be more on Game Found and BackerKit. All that stuff's coming. I'll keep you guys up to date on all the latest news, so stay tuned for that. Again, check out that review if you want. It is a different style. I'd love to hear your feedback on that. Probably going forward, I will continue to try and improve on that. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys again really, really soon. Take care, guys. Bye.